Hi everyone! In this video, we will create and interpret histograms with group data. The ages of patients that visited an urgent care were collected over the course of 1 hour. Here we have a list of data. We've been asked to construct a histogram with 5 classes for the given values. Let's go ahead and construct a small frequency chart quickly to help us group all of our data so that we can put it into our histogram quickly. In here, we'll have our lower limit. In the next column, we'll have the upper limit. And in the last one, we will find the frequency. And we know that we are looking for 5 classes. We're lucky that our data went from low to high. We can use that to our advantage in finding the class width. To find the class width, we will take the maximum, subtract the minimum, and divide it by the number of classes that we want, in this case 5. Our maximum number is 64, our minimum is 10, so we will take 64, subtract 10, and divide it by the 5 classes we've been asked to create our histogram with. 64 minus 10 is 54. Divided by 5 gives us a decimal of 10.8. Our data is in whole numbers, which means that our class width should also be in a whole number. And we always want to round up so that we get to include our largest number. So we will round this up to the nearest whole number, which is 11. Starting our lower class limit with the lowest number that we have is 10. Then to find the next lower class limit, we will add our class width, which we calculated to be 11. So the next lower class limit will be 10 plus 11 is 21. Adding 11 again for the next lower class limit gives us 32. Adding 11 again gives us 43. And the last one to add 11 yet again gives us 54. We can fill in the upper limits by going one under the next lower class limit. So our lower class limit of the second class is 21. So the upper limit of the first class will be 20. Then we'll do it again. The next number just under 32 is 31. And the next number just under 43 is 42. And the next number just under 54 is 53. And you'll notice that each of these are also increasing by 11, just like the lower class limit, which makes our next one, when we add 11 to our 53, we get 64. We could have also looked at the next upper class or lower class limit of the next class, which would have been 11 plus 54, which is 65. And that tells us that the upper class limit of our final class will be 64. However, we will end up using this 65 in our histogram. Let's go ahead and find our frequencies now. We're looking for numbers that will go from 10 to 20, and the frequency we can find from our data starts 10, and we want to go to 17, not including 21, because that will be in the next class. So there are 3 for the frequency of our first class. The next one, from 21 to 31, we can see from here, and we'll stop here, there are 4. The next class, from 32 to 42, goes from here, and we will include the 42. It's the upper class limit, so we're going to include it, which gives us a total of 3 there. Then from 43 to 53, we have 1, 2. And then from 54 to 64, we will include the 64 because it is in that class, and there are 2. Let's go ahead and construct our histogram now. The histogram on our first one will be the lower class limit. So we'll start with 10, and then adding 11, we got 21. We also add 11 and get 32. Adding 11 gives us 43. And the next 11 gives us 54. And notice we didn't have another class, but we do need to include our next lower class limit, even though we don't include that, because we need to include our upper class limit of that final class. So we will end with 65, just so that it continues our distance of 11 for the class width. Now we can go ahead and add in all of our frequencies. We found those. So the first class is a frequency of 3. So we will make our bar up to the 3 mark. The next one has a frequency of 4. So we'll make our bar go up to the frequency of 4. However, we are calling these bars. It is not a bar graph because there is no space between each of the bars. The histogram is continuous to each other. Now the next one we have a frequency of 3, and the next one we have a frequency of 2, and our last one we have a frequency of 2. And we can go ahead and write our frequencies above each of these. It makes it very clear. 3, 4, and 3. And then let's fill in our chart as well, so that we have 3 here, we've now constructed a frequency histogram for the data from this list with 5 classes, and we're all done.